Welcome to the Module 3 additional video where I'm going to talk about the Theoretical Exploration short paper. By the way, I forgot to mention in the previous video, wear Red Friday. It's still Friday. I'm wearing red. Are you participating in the Red Wolf tradition of Wear Red Friday? Let me know if you are, because that's awesome. So with the last 2 weeks additional videos in mind, this one will get more specific for the Theoretical Exploration short paper itself. So let's start with very general advice. Seek to connect with one or two good, solid topics derived from our exploration of new literacies, theoretical components and qualities, right? Perhaps even weaving in connections between Lancashire, Nobel, and G. So taking stock of resources that you have. You have both texts, 3 texts actually, when you consider Haggett's book, which we will use in Module 5, but that introduction provided that early definition of new literacies for us, and 3 articles. But I have also added an optional module here on the sidebar of the course with a variety of new literacies articles that I think you'll find interesting. Some favorites from the history of the course and some that are newer. First, in the general sense, remember that this theoretical exploration paper is exactly that. It's not about discussing what the articles say, although you will likely quote them or the books. This is about discussing what the knowledge in the field is, right? Make sure you're reaching out via your A-State email to our academic assistant or to me in order to sift through your questions and roadblocks on your topics, right? So consider the ultimate destination of the thinking in this paper as pointing you toward the final symposium paper in a few weeks, actually, right? That's going to go to that state-level journal. This theoretical exploration is in many ways a lit review that might hopefully inform some of the proposed change or innovation to teaching practice that you may write about next week in Module 4. If you already have your sights set on an application of this theory, if not, I think you will certainly be able to derive some form of classroom practice from what you write about this week. So don't worry about which direction you put the cart and the horse in that. But for now, the goal of this short paper is, from the handout, to allow students the chance to synthesize thinking around the course content so as to explore the course material, draw connections among content, trace the growth or change of concepts, and or project original thinking toward teaching practice, but save the actual design of teaching practice for the practitioner project short paper. This is ultimately a strong narrative written in strong academic language. Okay, so first steps, your Blackboard posting. Review the topics you've connected with most in your previous posts. Don't underestimate the power that there is in an idea that's already resonated with you, right? One major question I know I'll be getting this week: how many sources should you write about? Well, the answer begins with the rubric where it says 3 or more cited references. Consider this logic. Maybe focusing on a Lancashire Nobel idea from their book, supported by 1 or 2 of their articles, and then supplemented with a connection to G, or vice versa, right? You could think of it that way. So then some other tidbits from this that I will keep also reminding you in the coming weeks, right? Really, your next step is looking at the handout, the rubric under course paper resources, and again, make sure you have accessed and examine these, right? That they're there to help you. Don't forget to download and install Microsoft Word if you haven't already. The instructions are still available under the Blackboard announcements section. Scroll down to the bottom to the older ones, right? Remember to use that template file. It's set up in APA format for you. Don't copy or paste material from another source or work on it in Google Docs and then back on the Word file. Erroneous formatting will follow and take you out of APA compliance. Click your cursor in that template file and start working in it. Right, again, read, trust that handout, and keep the rubric in mind. Use the template file. As strange as it may sound, the most important thing you can do with this section is to listen to yourself. Your fascinations, your ahas, your engagement with different new literacies, topics, and what you may immediately have seen as having the power to change teaching, or maybe your teaching. Don't underestimate the power of those early ideas. So, speaking of the handout, a few key tidbits from the handout. A major tip: consider the primary author as the lens for viewing the concepts. Make the primary author your primary perspective. Right? Also, as you draw connections between these works and perhaps any recommended articles or additional articles from outside the course, consider questions of this type. What is pedagogically necessary in order for this thinking to become a reality? What's necessary to understand about these concepts in order to plan instruction? How do these topics challenge traditional teaching paradigms? What is most important with this theory in order to remain true to various bodies of new literacy theory, right? And also from the handout, plan your ideas before you write. Perhaps bullet out some key topics or suggestions. Maybe even lay out your APA headings and consider the basic path of thinking. Topic or questions to examine from primary author's thinking, additional thinking, conclusion, relevance, answers. Hypothesize about what might be relevant to teaching and learning right now in the sense of new literacies. Some ideas to kind of help get you going. The sections and the comments in the template file are, I think, set up in a very nominal manner, right? Just some an introduction, some level 1 headings with possible level 2 subheadings, and a conclusion. I think you'll find this very user-friendly. Make sure to keep in mind the use of those level 1 and level 2 headings, your APA style and citations, the references page. Since this is very much in the spirit of a literature review, your headings really should be decent signposts throughout your narrative that break it up into manageable chunks and kind of give us a sense, right, of what the sections are going to do. Don't forget to use that strong third-person academic voice of the profession. Avoid that first-person narrative, right? Don't forget about the APA citation examples handout that I have to give you further ways to quote or cite. I just remixed quote and cite. To quote and cite and mix up your narrative in this regard. This will be an important assignment for this, I think. And as with last week, follow the steps in the module activities. Once you've completed your BioSig ID authentication for Module 3, that submission link will be present, as well as the Module 3 activities folder where it is. And again, as always, please make sure you're reaching out via your A-State email address with your questions, if not to geek out over your topic with me. Wolves up. We'll see you in the next module.